Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we have a bit of a change up on our costume for this, our last superhero flick of the month. As you can see, I've got my Batman cap with the cape attached, so you know what we're going to be looking at. Not exactly. This is actually a film called James Batman. It's made by a Filipino actor named Dolphy, known for his mini spoofs of other genres. A lot of his films most people haven't seen because they're all in the, I believe this is pronounced Tagalog language, native to the Philippines. So unlike some of their other films, like the Ramiro monster movies, like Beast of Yellow Night and the Blood Island films, didn't get a lot of play outside of the Philippines. Now, Dolphy made a lot of spoofs. He made the Spy spoof, Napoleon Double and the Sexy Six, spoof of Man from U.N.C.L.E. He also did the Seven Faces of Dr. Sabage, Seven Faces Dr. Lau. Let's see, there was McKinney's Gold, Dracula Goes to the RP, kind of self-explanatory there. Kung Fu, The Good Father, The Godfather, and Dolphy's Angels, Charlie's Angels. Now, this is a spy superhero spoof, and Dolphy plays two characters, James Hyka, aka Bond, and his version of Batman. And first we have an introduction to James Hyka. And then we have our introduction to Batman and Robin. Now, Batman isn't the only thing he spoofs. We also have the Joker. They hadn't said his name, never guessed. We also had the Penguin. A little better. And Catwoman. I'm sorry, that's a Black Rose. Anyways, our film opens at a big meeting of world leaders and such, well, Philippine leaders, and an emissary of the villain Drago comes and gives a list of demands. Basically, they are to disband their democracy, become communist, and install Drago as their dictator. They have 5 days with which to do this. And if any of them think they're bluffing, he shows the extent of their power. Yep, that most hideous of all destructive powers, a nuclear test stock footage.
You criminal!
Well, of course, they're thinking maybe they could, grab him and make him tell all he knows, but he's got a second surprise for them.
Adios!
Tricky. Well, realizing this is too much for just one man, not only will they be calling in their top agent, James Hica, but also James Batman, who we see in his regular guise as Dolphy and his youthful ward Robin. Yes, his ward is named Robin, just like James Batman's sidekick is named Robin.
Mamaya. Sinagot mo. Sinagot ka ng oo.
Not a bad set. Car looks pretty good too. Anyways, they get called and they put on their costumes and head over to the government building, where they learn, much to their chagrin, that they're going to be teaming up with James Hica, and neither man really cares for each other.
Ano tulong ko? Kaya ako na lamang. Ayoko may kasamang paniki. At kung kailangan niyo naman ng tulong ko, kaya ako na lang. Ayoko may kasamang butiki.
Well, it doesn't matter if they like each other or can work with each other. They're told flat out, you are working together. So, soon after that, the Joker and his men ambush Batman and Robin, and we get the first of several slapsticky fights.
Hi, Kiba. Jim Carter.
It's okay action. Kind of skipped over the part where Batman lost his pants for a little bit there, hanging off of a ledge. Anyways, not to think James Hica is being left out of all the action, as he finds himself in bed with a beautiful woman. It looks like he's done for. Or did he have a contingency plan?
Could be.
Yep, the old bulletproof vest ploy. Quickly capturing her, he takes her to headquarters, where we get this rather humorous reaction to her admittedly impressive cleavage. Well, after that cheap laugh, we get the interrogation scene, in which our evil villain has managed to get some cameras on it, and shows he's thought of this as well, and prevents her from answering any questions that might betray them. He don't mess around, and it's also a good object lesson to the rest of his underlings. Next, in his human guise, Dolphy and Robin go to meet Dolphy's girlfriend, Shirley, and we also get to meet her father and sister.
Si Dolfo. Shirley. Oh, tumabi ka si Shirley.
Torbo ka dyan.
All these economies are getting me down.
Seems, Dolpho is really into Shirley. And she's really into Batman and doesn't really think much of Dolpho. That plot sounds a little familiar. Right, that's the Superman love triangle. Right. Anyways, later, the gang makes another attempt on James Heike, this time breaking into his office and tying up his secretary while they wait for him.
Hi, keeper.
Finally, we get to see that good old James can also fight. Well, with this failure, they decide to use Black Rose to lure him into a trap with the Penguin. That's clever. Unfortunately, he picked a bad spot because he then ends up in the hospital from a centipede bite in a rather sensitive area of the male anatomy, if you know what I mean. And I think you do.
Perhaps.
Anyways, his secretary visits him, and upon learning of his whereabouts, they decide to get Bond and his secretary. I mean, Heike and his secretary.
Jim Carter.
Finally got him. Also, earlier, Shirley had run into Batman and Robin and invited them to dinner. And then that night, as they're preparing for their guests, well, looks like it's check and mate. But Shirley was tied up upstairs, and before they come back for her, she manages to get away and hide in another spot where they can't find her. And then she decides to be a little proactive in this situation when she sees her family and the superheroes being taken away. She's a smart one. Worthy of Batman's affections, if he ever gives them. Anyways, once at the villain's headquarters, she starts to sneak around where she runs into Heike's backup fellow agent who's been working on this with him, Johnny. And they make their way to the main room where they make some startling discoveries. Yep, the real power behind Drago, Shirley's father. Black Rose, Shirley's sister. Well, that's not the only revelation. That big hand behind the boss, well, we get to see what that is used for when there's a traitor that's been discovered within their midst. Ooh. Ugh. Nasty. Anyways, that's enough for Johnny, who starts to think it's time to turn the tables on these miscreants. Yeah, you show 'em, Johnny. Well, this leads to the free-for-all, where all of the subordinate bad guys get taken care of. I got there at the end where Robin got to have a girlfriend of his own. And it was the actual traitor, i.e. undercover agent, instead of the one they inadvertently got rid of. Anyways, while this has all been going on, Shirley's father has decided it's time to just blow the whole thing up with all the heroes in it. And Shirley thinks that's a bad idea.
Alam mo ba, sandali mo lang
Wonder if she'll be successful. No time to worry about that, though. Batman's got to take out Drago.
Jim Carter.
A fitting end, I think. Well, let's see how the people are going to couple off.
Batman? 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 Batman?
Hey, glad we got that settled. Oh, Shirley did convince her father to hold off until they can all get away, and so they rush out before the big explosion.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Like how they all just kind of hunker down after the first explosion. The dangers of nuclear explosion stock footage again. Well, all the couples pile into the Batmobile. It's kind of roomy. And as they drive off, don't worry. James Hica, he's not alone and he has someone for himself.
Alam mo, Jim, mahal na ko ikaw.
Ha?
Nasa tayo.
Anong klaseng gagamba ito? Diyos ko, ay laking kahihiyan ito.
And so our last image is of James Hica being chased by his new I'm a moron. Yeah, this is an interesting flick. Some of the action's really good and well shot. A lot of overhead shots on some of the fights, and they really want to try to make the fights really good. And then there's all this like one-liners that you don't get from the language, but if you've ever seen the translated, subtitled one, which is where I based the plot synopsis from, there's some pretty funny one-liners, and there's a lot of slapstick. And there's also some very surreal humor in it.
Walang yun to, may baterya ang katawan.
Shades of Uncle Fester. Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting flick. One of countless ones. He was a very popular comedic actor, and actually James Hica he played several times earlier before this. This came out right before the release of the Batman movie from '66, but it wasn't the first one. There was an earlier one, like previous year, made by someone else. But and of course, it's not going to play outside the country. Copyright problems, which is why bootlegs are probably the only way you can see it nowadays. Although with the internet, anything is able to be seen. Kind of like in Turkey, where copyright is just completely ignored, and they even use musical cues from like other films and reworked versions of rock songs. But as it is, it's pretty entertaining, very fast paced, a lot of action in it, a lot of a lot of goofy humor, some good, some bad. I rather like where when Dolphy and Robin go to visit Shirley, and Robin sits right next to her and has to be moved. I mean, yeah, a lot of the jokes are corny, but it's interesting that you got all this humor, and yet there's like some serious action and even some suspense in some scenes. It's a very interesting mix of things. Kind of like some of the Batman's first season, if you've ever seen that, where there was a lot of campy humor, but the suspense and the action was all done seriously to kind of give you that nice little balance. Of course, that couldn't sustain itself over the long run of the show, and the humor kept kind of creeping in until it was an all-out farce by the end. But yeah, an interesting film. It's kind of like Batwoman, where they had like a lot of that odd humor, and then it would have like monsters and some pretty graphic violence in it. I take the Penguin's death, and yet that is also undercut by the fact the secret agent then sticks his tongue out at him. It's very bizarre, a lot of it. But I mean, if you can find a subtitled version, you'll probably enjoy it. If you like superhero films that aren't of the MCU or DCU type budget. But, other than that, yeah, All in all, good way to spend an afternoon. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.
Oh,